All right, guys, let me get this straight. A video by Indigira reacts. Must see British people scared for their lives. They want all black people out of their country. Well, I saw that title. I was like, I got to do a reaction to it. Let's just go ahead and see why this video is taking off.
Made up word. It's like buying a set of paints. It's different coloured. Now, is that paint palette racist? No, it's just a bit of paint.
White folk around the U.S., UK, Australia.
Didn't make any sense, brother. Racism is a made-up word that you reference to a can of paint. That sounds very low vibrational. Oh my God.
Australia have convened recently to protest against immigrants and these outside agitators eradicating their culture. But what a lot of them can't actually admit to themselves is they don't actually have a culture because they traded their culture for capitalism. Their frustration is not with immigrants, it's with their own incompetence. And the truth of the matter is that these people are only angry because they have not reaped the benefits of capitalism, even though their skin is white. According to what white supremacy tells them, their white skin is enough to succeed and thrive in this racist and capitalistic society that we live in. But of course, we all know that white supremacy is a fiction and that skin color has nothing to do with intellect and capacity for learning. And the fact of the matter is that in countries like the US, immigrants have higher educational outcomes than a native-born population.
I'm not gonna lie, here in here where I grew up in southern Louisiana, man, I had several people that were foreign, there's people from different countries. I had there was a young man who was from I believe, I want to say Iraq. I mean, absolutely killed the ACT. Pretty much aced every little bit of it. There was a guy from West Africa. I forget his name, but he pretty much just, went above and beyond. So the culture is different when you bring that. When those cultures take education so much more serious, they come over here and just soak in the benefits of having a higher education. You get what I'm saying? They're like, I can actually get from there, running around and doing all this in that village, that small village, and make a name for myself. Man, they really lock in on education. It's a beautiful thing to see, and we take it for granted.
When you have the education and you have the skills that will ultimately help these CEOs make more money, they don't actually care what skin color you are. Surprise. No matter how much these rich billionaires that they look up to tell them that they can make it, that they can become like them and be millionaires too, they are living a reality in which that will never happen for them. Because of course, we all can't make it. And the elite know that they cannot outright ostracize black and brown people from making it. Because we revolt. And things like the civil rights movement happen, which causes them to lose money. Will continue to be angry at everyone but their oppressor. Because not only do they typically look like them, but they also want to be like them. But the reality of capitalism would never allow it to happen.
Does anyone else think it's weird that the UK is protesting anti-immigration and hating on Muslims? For example, what's your national sport? Football, right? But 72% of players are foreign. Do you want them to go home too? How many matches would you win then? Even your best player, Mohamed Salah, is a Muslim. What about the Olympics? 1 in 3 medals for the UK have been won by someone with immigrant heritage. What about your music? Freddie Mercury, lead singer of Queen, born in Zanzibar. Rita Ora, Dua Lipa, Bibi Rexha, they're all from Kosovo, a Muslim country. Cat Stevens, now known as Yusuf Islam, Greek Cypriot. Charlie XCX, parents migrated from Uganda. Zayn Malik, member of One Direction. His father is a Pakistani Muslim immigrant. Your prized possession in motorsports, Lewis Hamilton, his family were immigrants. Look at science. 1 in 3 scientists is an immigrant. Even your Richard Dawkins was born in Kenya. Some of your best UK scientists alive right now are Muslim immigrants who have won Nobel Prizes and have literally been knighted by the king himself. Look at your shopping sector. The most luxurious brand you have, Harrods. It was owned by 2 Muslim immigrants, including Mohammed Al Fayed. UK's tallest building was built by Muslims. The richest family in the UK are immigrants. And on top of all that, only 6% of the UK's population is Muslim. So
wow, why all this fuss to get rid of it has to probably boil down to religion. But meanwhile, they won't get rid of some of their favorite players and their athletes because they use them as entertainment. They will cast out anything. People sometimes do that, but a lot of people will cast out things that they cannot benefit from, and it's just a sad sight to see.
Why so much hate for a minority. Are you worried about crime rates? Over 90% of crimes are committed by non-Muslims. Did you know Muslims contribute over $70 billion a year to the UK economy? Muslims give over $2.2 billion every year to charity. That's more than any other religion, even though they're a minority. Over 20% of healthcare workers are immigrants. If immigrants just left right now, UK would completely collapse. Honestly, I don't get it. What exactly are you protesting?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, UK does not want to want any of those problems. You know what happened when they started just taking all the immigrants from the United States, how a lot of businesses suffer. I can only assume that a smaller country like the UK would as well.
Hello and welcome to yet another video. It's Ndagiri here. We're going to be talking about the situation in the UK and how British people are done with immigration. I mean, I've been sharing a lot of videos about immigration in Western nations. They are done with the migrants, right? But then a lot of people are calling them out, like, why are they on the street when in fact most of the things that they actually have in their countries were built and made up of immigrants. Like, without immigrants, UK, Britain, or most Western nations would not really be in existence. So what are you guys really fighting? Are you fighting really immigration, or you're just being racist because you...
I mean, Nagiri, they're being racist. They're being just full of heart, man. They have a hatred against other people that's just just not Christian, non-Christian white people, I guess you can say.
Immigrants coming to your country means that you'll lose your culture. It actually proves that you never had any culture to begin with. I'm pretty sure by now we've all heard of this narrative being wielded by white supremacists that they have to take their countries and their cultures back from these immigrants, these Muslims. But what they're actually afraid of is not loss of culture. They're afraid of their place in the hierarchy. In actual reality, the presence of one culture does not threaten the existence of another. But what a lot of people in these white majority countries do not want to admit is that they have abandoned their ethnic identity for a racial one. The best example of this is the United States. These European immigrants came to the United States, abandoned their languages, their cuisine, their rituals, their religions in order to become white in America. For them, it was more important to be at the top of the hierarchy and whites rather than Polish and Irish near the bottom. And a lot of Europeans don't want to admit this, but they have adopted the very same mentality as well. But the problem with that is that whiteness is not culture. It is political, and it necessitates a hierarchy to function.
You ain't lying, dude. You ain't lying. Being white does not equal culture. Now, there is some sectors in the white that maybe you can say, hey, they have their own little culture, them redneckish, the swamp people, even still has some sort of impact on, from another culture. You get what I'm saying? Like, that they have those small sectors, and if you can think of a sector, comment below, like little small groups of people. But yes, she's totally right. Leaning on the fact that your skin is just white does not equal culture alone.
A concept, whiteness was never born out of the desire to celebrate heritage. It actually does the exact opposite. Rather than celebrating various ethnic differences, it homogenizes all these ethnic nuances, and everyone just becomes white. And of course, it reinforces this racial hierarchy that puts certain white people at the top, constantly defining who is superior and who is not. And it's not static either, because who has been at the top has changed throughout the years. And this is why whiteness cannot exist on its own, whereas a lot of these non-white cultures can. Whiteness always needs an inferior other. And depending on the day and what these rich billionaires and politicians are telling their little cronies, it can be immigrants, people of color, Muslims, and it uses these various others to define itself against. One thing that I've always said is that whiteness focuses more on what it's not versus what it is.
Yeah.
It has to be better than something to be good. It can't just be good on its own. And I always think about what Toni Morrison said when she said, "Who are you without racism? Are you still smart? Are you still good?" Without a group of people at the bottom of the hierarchy, whiteness implodes, it collapses. It has no identity and it has no culture because it depends on exclusion and oppression. And that is actually antithetical to culture. When I was studying cultural anthropology, my syllabus didn't focus on all the things that culture was not. And this is why when I saw a video of a Polish man getting mad about a halal restaurant opening in Warsaw, I had to laugh. A halal restaurant does not threaten Polish culture. That restaurant rather threatens his idea of superiority. And this is what I find with a lot of people who are afraid of immigrant culture.
So you want black and brown people out of your country, but can we take our jewels back? Because I just saw this image of Queen Elizabeth II. And all of the major jewels in her repertoire are from abroad, are from black and brown countries. Obviously, there is this one which is from South Africa. This one, which is the big famous one, is from India. You have more from Egypt. You have another one from Barbados. You have more from Fiji. You have Australia, Nigeria, and Kenya. All of these are indigenous black.
He said, "Can I get the jewels back, bro?" Like, dang, like just imagine, like y'all want to push to send immigrants. Y'all have this big old problem with immigrants, but like the woman before said, they have such an impact on the current culture that if you take that away, it just implodes everything. Like, just might as well just take away the crown and the staff.
Countries. And the vim that is brought to us by English, by the British, in terms of us being in this country and paying taxes, by the way, contributing overall a net positive, and then constantly being hounded out. But can we just take our jewels with us? Like, we can swap. Let's just swap our wealth and we'll go back home and you figure out your island on your own. It's so weird. Like, and this is really actually not about ego. This is about a really emotional attachment. We had the emotional attachment to England and Britain. We had the emotional attachment to the Queen. You know, the Queen was on our walls growing up. We did sing songs to her. I sang to her in the choir. We worshipped the whole system. Only in participating in the system do we understand that it's not ever going to represent us, see us, or include us appropriately. Now, you might get a really good example, but most of the examples you will find are people who are a hyper-talented individual who navigate by the skin of their teeth, but that's not a way forward. That's not a common access point. That is a once in a billion lifetime. Like even someone like Anthony Joshua, who was on the verge of, who went to jail, managed to find himself a way, had to box his way into being worth 100 million. But why does the pathway have to be that way? There is in many other pathways apart from emceeing, boxing, to go to 100 million, and that is a massive problem, and that's why we know we're not welcome here. But give us our jewels back, though.
British people are not racist, they just don't want the immigrants to take over their country. Even though the British took over South Africa, Zimbabwe and Kenya, and they're still there now. Even though the British took over North America, including Canada and the United States. Even though the British took over Australia and New Zealand. The British people are not racist, they just don't want the immigrants to come and destroy their country. Even though Nigeria, Congo and Sudan are still suffering the economic repercussions of their colonialism. Unfortunately, the British don't get to fear for the state of their country as a result of foreigners coming in when they have done the same thing. They have done the very thing that they are afraid of happening to them. Until Britain financially and politically pays back the globe for the harm that they caused, British people don't have the rights, you don't have the leg to stand on to claim that you are afraid of the thing that you did to other people happening to you. If you
the way she's breaking it down, it's almost just like the British people are or the root of racism around the world. That's a far-fetched stretch, guys, but that's what she's painting. Like, damn, she's saying that it started there, and she's dropping some receipts.
I want to argue that you're not the ones that are responsible, then talk to those who are, because I'm hearing a lot of silence, but a lot of patriotism and nationalism coming out of your mouth when you've done nothing. You've done nothing to hold your government, to hold your state accountable for the harms and the destruction that they caused.
But really what gets to me is that people from the West always want to come out and talk about how their culture is being erased, how their country is being taken over, but they keep on forgetting, or I would say they pretend to forget that these immigrants that they call immigrants would not have been in their countries if Western nations, governments, left immigrants' countries, like left the African continent, the Asian places, Caribbean places. We would not be in their countries. Like literally, the Western nations are always sponsoring wars to stay in these immigrants' countries. These people will not get on the street to complain about that. When it comes to resources come from Asian countries, from African nations to go to their countries. They do not complain about that. When you look into their museums, they are full of stolen goods from these immigrants' people's countries that they want to see their countries. They don't come out to talk about that. So where's the lie? Where is the lie? And even when we look at, guys, sorry, it's my dog. Yeah, it's my dog. Even when we look at the statistics that people give about job employment, people from the West, especially them, they do not accept to take on some jobs because they feel entitled to bigger jobs. Then people.
Oh man, she ain't lying, man. Some people are just shit. It happens right now in the United States. There's some people that will refuse to do some sort of jobs. Meanwhile, it's a regular job. It pays well, but they refuse because they feel entitled. You take that little bit of entitlement, dude. You ever go somewhere and you're not as humbled? I remember when I was a young man and I wasn't as humbled as I was now. You know, I am now, but I will go from one state to another state or a city to a city that's out of state and be like, yeah, I'm from blah, 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 and I just kind of wore it kind of just a little bit like too proud. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Have you ever done that? Or flew out of the country or visited an island, like, yeah, I'm from the United States, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just like you felt so good about it. That's probably what they're doing, and they're taking it and putting it into the job marketplace and just feeling entitled and just, it sucks because, like, damn, you could have just had a really good job, but you just feel entitled, like you can do better. Like, you should be getting a better job. You should be qualified for this because of where you're from. But meanwhile, everybody else put in the work.
Then turn out and come and say immigrants are taking over their jobs, but they're not willing to go and do those, said jobs.
Why are you here?
For my daughter's futures, to be honest, and the safety of women and children on the streets of Britain today. We don't feel safe.
You don't feel safe?
No. Why would, if I felt safe, why would I carry a spray in my handbag every time I go out? We're all like it.
Oh, come on. You're sitting here following for safety. I bet you the crime statistics right now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to get into it, but I'll be right back with the statistics for foreigners. So back with some numbers here, man. So the question was, what is the crime percentage by ethnicity or immigrant status in the UK? As you can tell, it's crazy because the black ethnic group gets arrested almost twice as much as the white group. Don't have to say too much there. Meanwhile, if you go down here, it says that only 13% of cautions or convictions in 2024 were issued to non-UK citizens, and then a little bit less of prisoners in the UK in 2025 were non-UK nationals. So, like, what that's saying is just like almost 1 out of every 10 people, they're not from there. They're not being a big problem maker. The majority is still citizens that born there. You get what I'm saying? And not only that, it's definitely mixed right here. I just feel like obviously there's just systematic racism when it comes to pressing the issue with the black ethnic group. It's kind of been that way for a very, very long time. It's evil, of course, man. And then you kind of take those arrest numbers, you kind of do some other numbers to see which one of those were actually convicted, and you can see these numbers are very, very, very low, but their arrest rate is high. How you have twice the normal arrest rates for just being a black person in the UK than a white person, but yet those conviction rates, those turnover rates are in the low 2 percentiles. You get what I'm saying? Which just goes to show you can just kind of get arrested for being black in the UK, and the numbers are almost similar in the US, guys. But what do you guys think about today's video? Do you really think, or if there's anybody from the UK, do you really think that it's a big problem there? Do UK nationalists or people from there have some sort of gripe against foreigners or immigrants, and then are they seriously anti-Muslim there? Let me know in the comments below. We'll chat with you there. Don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you on the next one.